Tighten Up, the podcast, is brought to you by Hyperice, the leading provider of innovative technology for recovery, mobility, and improved performance. They help the Titans. They can help you too. Learn more online at hyperice.com.
Detroit, it's time to tighten up. Welcome to Tighten Up, the podcast, presented by the Shield NIL. Brought to you by Hyperice and Last Shot Energy. A state of the Titans, the latest in Detroit Mercy athletics, and a chance to hear from Titans all over the world. Here's your host, Dan Hasty.
And hello to you. It is another edition of Tighten Up, the podcast. We get a chance to get to know some of these Titans players this year, and it's such a young core. I mean, there are so many different freshmen on this team, and one of the cool parts about this particular iteration of Titans basketball is that many of these freshmen hail from the city of Detroit and Metro Detroit. And one of those players, I don't even know if they expected to be playing the kind of role that they've been playing, but they're playing some of the most minutes of anyone on this entire roster. And he was one of the very last people to jump in on this roster. And he has been just as important as any other piece of this Titans roster here this season. And that's Detroit Catholic Central's own TJ Nadeau is in the house. What's up, TJ?
Hey, how's it going?
TJ, your story's awesome, first and foremost, because what you had to go through to get a D1 offer, you had to grind your way through it. And you had a really good high school career, but sometimes that doesn't always get you to the finish line of what your goals are. So if you can, take me through your high school story as you tell it, and then how it got you here.
Basically, my dad went to Detroit Catholic Central High School. So ultimately, that's kind of where I wanted to end up coming into high school. I was able to start my freshman year, and then I played out sophomore year. We had a really good team, had a chance of winning states that year. We actually beat the state champions in 2022 to the South. We beat them twice that year. So we had a really good squad. One of my former teammates, Cooper Craigs, he plays at Oakland now, so I got to play against him this year. But just that was a phenomenal program, phenomenal team. And then kind of went into junior year, taking the leadership role. I was the captain that year, kind of new team, new style. Then we got a new head coach my senior year of high school, Torrey Jackson. He played 4 years at Notre Dame, and he was the point guard there. And just kind of adjusting, figuring out a new situation, new role, and ultimately still that same leadership, but just kind of new culture, new system. So I made my adjustments, got back into it. I actually had a shoulder injury going into that year. So I was coming off recovery and all that stuff for 4 months, trying to get healthy to start off the season. And coming into it with high expectations and just really wanted to get after it. And Torrey did a great job with me. He did a great job mentoring me and kind of teaching me the ropes. And I thought he did a great job building a program that's very college ready. You get to the Division I level here, and a lot of the things he wanted to try and push on me, they all came true when it came to the college. So it was very interesting to see that. Worked really hard my senior year. We had a great team, great squad, and we had a chance to go far in playoffs again. Certain things happen, and it's all God's will.
You mentioned having a new coach your senior year of high school, and I think about just the state of whether it be college basketball or if you're fortunate enough to go play, whether it be overseas or in the G League, or, if all the cards can fall in the best way possible in the NBA someday, you're going to play regardless of where you end up for a lot of different coaches. So in some way, I bet you're kind of grateful that you got a chance to play in different systems.
Yeah, it's very beneficial. It gives you a more well-rounded perspective, and you get to take, nuggets of knowledge off other people, and it kind of helps to mold you into a different character. And, not everyone can get thrown in a new system and say, I'm going to adjust. I'm going to change what I've been doing the past 3 years to fit what this coach wants me to do now, and that's college. You play for a high school system for your whole life, and then all of a sudden you get thrown into a new system. A lot of people can't adjust, and that's what ends up being the downfall of a lot of players at the next level is, not being able to switch what they want, what they can think they can do. And ultimately, it's not their decision on whether or not they play. It's the coach's decision. So if you can't figure out how to mold to his will and what he wants you to do, then it's not going to do so well for you.
TJ averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists during that senior season. What were the differences between the system you ran your first 3 years and then the system you ran as a senior?
Torrey, the big part of his offensive scheme for me was score efficiently in the easiest way possible. And in order to do that, there's little tricks that you kind of never really pick up on, but the things that he told me were very smart. And it's just one of the biggest things is, I'm a big guard, right? And everyone knows I was always a shooter. My junior year, I played predominantly around the outside, right? Dribble, basketball, try and get to the rim off the dribble, all that stuff. And I can do that. That's not something outside of my abilities, but he was like, why catch the ball outside the 3-point line and try and go to work when you can catch it around the block? You can catch it in the low post area. And that just because that's what bigs do doesn't mean it's not what a guard can do as well. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to get closer to the rim without even having to dribble, and that's the little nuggets of wisdom I was talking about that he kind of fed me. It's like, why catch the ball so far away when you can get it so close to the rim? And that's ultimately where you're trying to get the ball in the first place. So, the offense he put together was very well-rounded, and it gave us a lot of different angles in order to score and just kind of, to trick the defense up a little bit more, which was very helpful.
So it's probably fair to say that last year helped you become a little bit more versatile, well-rounded. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I saw you had a couple of 32-point, 12 rebound games during your senior season. So, I mean, those are some pretty monster numbers to pull down. So they clearly had you playing down on the block.
Yeah, we lost our big. We didn't really have any much size. So, you got to figure out, okay, I got to be able to rebound as well. And you got to play gritty and you got to shoot on the outside too. So just kind of figuring out how to do a little bit of everything. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's makes you a better player and makes you a better person.
You come from a basketball family. Your mom, Julie, played at Miami of Ohio. Your dad at Albion. Did they meet through basketball, or was that just the luck of the draw?
They did meet through basketball, sort of. They met up in East Lansing, and they played basketball against each other, growing and kind of meeting each other. And it's just very interesting to see how that all works out and how a sport can kind of change your entire life.
And now you look at how things have gone for you this season. I mean, there's been games where you've played nearly every single minute. I think back to the Purdue-Fort Wayne game. You played just about 40 minutes. You sort of had to. Titans only had 8 players there, but that was the game where the Titans used an all-freshman starting lineup. And, you've been there and available for just about every single game. And that is a big testament to you because of all the injuries and all the things that the Titans have had to deal with in that way this season. So you've obviously been available and you've been able to kind of carve your own path this season. So take me through kind of what this year and this experience has been like as you've sort of paved your way.
One of the biggest things is just looking back into the start of the summer, expectations, what they're bringing you in here for, what they want out of you. And one of the first things Monty told me when I met with him to talk to him is, not a lot of people ever thought I could do what I'm doing right now. A lot of doubters, a lot of people who just didn't believe that I could play at a Division I level. And that comes down to having a chip on your shoulder, and he always said, prove people wrong. He's like, work hard and prove people wrong. And that's what I really came down to. The whole summer I was very dedicated to the weight room and getting stronger, getting faster, getting bigger, and really just pushed myself and wanted to see growth, because I knew I could do it and I knew I had the abilities to do this. It's just about getting the opportunity and then showing what you can once you're out there. So, this season means a lot to just showing people that I'm here and I'm here to stay, and letting them know that it's not just 1 year, it's not just 2 years. I'm going to continue to grow on this and get better as a player.
Well, averaging 8 points per game as a freshman, that says something. That's a statement. And you mentioned Mark Montgomery. I think about your relationship with him, and you mentioned Torrey Jackson. It was not a secret what he was doing on social media to get people to pay attention to you, to see that you were able to play this game at a high level. And what you were doing, when you were with the Shamrocks, to have people understand that you were worthy of getting a chance to play Division I basketball. I know it was only 1 year that you played for Coach Jackson, but clearly those relationships and the relationship with him, that's going to have to go down as one of the more special relationships, even if you just played a year with him.
Yeah, it really is. He was an amazing guy, amazing coach, amazing mentor. He was able to get a job at CC, and it was an amazing time to be able to mold myself to him and go for him for wisdom, for talks. And I could really do that whenever I wanted during the day. And that just really helped because we both had such a passion for the game. We both wanted so much out of it. So it really just allowed me to kind of fully dive in, and to have someone so willing to put so much time and effort into me and my thought process, and in order to win, ultimately that's the goal here. And it just really rubbed off on me in the right way. And to create that family feel that, I'm always welcome back. I can always go back there to talk to him. We stay connected the entire season. I'm always rooting for the Shamrocks back there, and they're always rooting for me. So just kind of, that family feel where it's like, I know I can always go back, and that's an amazing atmosphere, amazing people to have, because that's not something you get everywhere you go.
And I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to guess that he has been to Calihan Hall at some point this season to watch you play, just like I know your family has been out to watch you play. I mean, that's one of the cool things about you being from around here, is that you get a chance to have your people in the stands each and every home game. I mean, what's it been like for you throughout the course of this season? I mean, how many different people have you had throughout the course of the year have the chance to come out and watch you?
That is one of the biggest benefits I can say, is you just have everyone here that's local, that, wants to see you play, that has a passion for, your inspirations, and looks forward to watching you, and all the family around, all my friends around, on break when they all come back from whatever schools they're at, we have home games. They're all there to watch. And it's definitely inspiring, because I have people that are here to watch me play that I care about personally. And that really changes your perspective as a player, because you want to play hard, not only for yourself, but for the people that look up to you, for the people that are inspired by you. And it means a lot, not only just for myself, but for my family.
I would imagine that you've got friends that you want to go watch play in other games, in other places. And because you're local, you can still do that as well. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you've had the chance to do in and around the Detroit community. I know that's something that's been important to you over the years.
Some of the things I've been able to do, there is this one Life Remodeled nonprofit organization, and they kind of do a great job of cleaning up the communities around them in Detroit. I was able to participate in that. My mother is very active in those things, so she kind of molded me into it, and just kind of getting to help out Cooley High School. They kind of bought that out, fixed that up, and then, you help the community that it surrounds, just cleaning up the houses, the outside, the infrastructure. So it's very interesting to see all those communities around there and how you can impact so many people just by doing the little things that most people never think would make that much of a difference. To start off, Detroit Mercy, they had us do community service, and a group of people, we all went a couple blocks down the street and just kind of helped clean up the area and just help the people, and they all appreciate it so much. And it's a great benefit to be able to come here and not only, serve for myself and help, grow as a better person in my own character, but to also help those around us is very important.
So you cleaned up a local high school, huh? That was Cooley, you said?
Yeah, Cooley High School.
And there are certainly a lot of areas around the campus that are in need of attention and of time, effort, and energy. And so if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and there is an area in and around the city, or if there is a place that you think that you would like to make an impact with, and you'd like to use guys like TJ or some of his teammates or along with him, you can go to the shieldnil.org and you can coordinate some of the Detroit Mercy basketball players to come out and help make that happen. So I'm curious about right after you committed to play to Detroit Mercy, because you also followed that up by being named the MVP of the Dreams to Reality All-American Showcase, which is really good timing, because that makes it look so much better on top of it. What in the world happened there? What is the Dreams to Reality All-American Showcase game, and how did you pick the perfect time to go get an MVP?
It was something I was looking forward to, because when it was getting coordinated, they were figuring out what gym they wanted to play it at. You had Cass Tech was an option. I think Renaissance was another school, and then Catholic Central, because they wanted to pick a nice school, good location, close to a little bit of everyone, because it's the best players around the state of Michigan. And they ended up choosing Catholic Central, so it was the last time I actually got to play a game in that high school. So it meant a little bit more to me, and it was an awesome experience too. It's a bunch of my friends that I've played against, grown up with, my whole life, and to see where we all are at, and to see how everyone's got those offers to colleges that they want to go to, and the Division I level, and the amount of talent that was just in that gym alone, to be able to go up and compete against them, but ultimately to come out as the MVP was very inspiring to me. To be able to continue to prove people wrong and show that I do belong, that I am here to stay.
For the record, that was a game that featured 10 players that signed with D1 schools, and it was TJ who ended up as the MVP of that game. 20 points, 4 3-pointers as his team picked up the 91-85 victory. And just for good measure, he also won the 3-point contest before the game. Is that the signature of your game, 3-point shooting, or is there something else that you like to hang your hat on?
That's what everyone knows me for, being a really good shooter. Obviously, I always think I'm a little bit of a scorer as well, but the signature to my game is definitely shooting, and I pride myself on that.
And that'll do it for the first part of our two-part conversation with Titans freshman guard TJ Nadeau. It's so crazy to have this many options for Michigan natives to do this with over the course of this season. I mean, it's just been one after the other after the other. And after years and years of not having that many options, it is just such a breath of fresh air. So cool to be able to have it look like this. Coming up in our next episode, we will continue this conversation with TJ, and we'll also do our second edition of Titan Trackdown, where we will go ahead and check in with men's lacrosse, who is getting into its first season with a brand new head coach, but certainly someone who is not all that unfamiliar with his players. Charlie Hayes, in his first season, will preview men's lacrosse on our next edition of Tighten Up. Don't forget, if you enjoy the show, make sure you go rate the show. You can also leave a comment on the show as well. It helps us a ton. And most importantly, go to the shieldnil.org. Just go check out their website. If you haven't seen it, take 2 minutes, go look around. If you want to get involved, that's the way you can do it. Again, that website, the shieldnil.org. Help these guys make a real impact here at Detroit Mercy. Find me on X, that Dan Hasty. Find me on Instagram, Dan Hasty. And I'll talk to you Titans of Industry next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Tighten Up, the podcast. Join our community at The Shield on theshieldnil.org and follow us on X and Instagram at The Shield NIL.
If I can tell you one thing above all else as part of this show, it would be this. If you're unfamiliar, if you haven't done it before, join the community at The Shield Online. It's online at theshieldnil.org. That's theshieldnil.org.